Welcome, everybody, to May 5th, no, 27th already. May Day's not there. RJ, it's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. I don't believe we should tell them anything else unless they come up with some pretty good proof. How you been?
Yeah, I've been. Thanks for inviting me. This is a interesting month, being that it began and it will end. Full moon. You will have a blue moon. You know,
There you go.
familiar with that term this month yet? Yeah, the countdown to when the sun, you know, turns around, and heads out to the south again. Um, it's coming. Soon enough.
I saw it standing alone without a dream of its own. I remember Blue Moon was a big deal. We got a lot. Let
Yeah,
me get
yeah.
the.
It doesn't happen with a lunar calendar, but with a
No,
calendar that
something came up on my algorithm, about the 13-month thing. It looked like it was AI generated, all calendars lost the 13th month at the same time. 2 views, 14 subscribers. Okay. I don't have much in the way of pictures here from today. We'll just go this way. This word looks the same, doesn't it? See that? I mean,
yeah,
it looks,
similar,
it looks
similar.
exact. Yeah, yeah. It looks exactly to me. I don't see
Yeah.
anything different.
Well,
And
there's a little.
it's that confusion of the red. Oh, it always means ruddy. I'm not sure. The red stew. This is the stew that Isaac got, RJ. Hey, yummy. I want to, or, he's Esau. He gave it to Esau. Yummy, yummy. He goes, I want some of that red. If I don't get it, I'm going to die. Red. It's the same word, it's the same number. I want some of this red stew. So they could tell me they know everything about red. I don't think they do. I'm not sure they do. What's this? There's such a thing as United Nations Convention on the Rights of Child. Now, the birth certificate, somehow the Lord got me all over that this morning, like all the nations of the world all at one time got the idea that they should have identical birth records and birth certificates, but they have the right to acquire a nationality. That's what the whole United Nation is that because if you're registered immediately after birth, you shall have the right from birth to a name. You're allowed a name and you're allowed the right to acquire a nationality. You want to explain that to me, RJ? I'm a little slow. Well, am I still muted?
No, you. I can hear you just fine.
It's just ridiculous, right? Oh man, look who did that. Remember that Desmond Tutu? The younger people, RJ, don't remember that guy. He was the South African guy. Rush Limbaugh used to make fun of him. I saw a new movie. This is a 2025, 2026 movie. It's supposed to be a sci-fi comedy drama about the end of the world. This isn't one of the happy Armageddon ones where they save the day at the end. They all die. This is the girl from the Hunger Games, RJ. You probably don't know what that means, but that's popular trilogy of movies. And here, they're somebody just got the news, and he goes, "I got to take a Xanax." And Leonardo DiCaprio's character starts freaking out, and say, you love him, the devil, and elephants. You love him, the devil, and elephants. Over and over again. I don't know if I saved that part, but you can look it up in a movie. I love him, the devil, and elephants. He said it about 4 times. Earlier in the movie, the idea of the comedy is it's just like, it's not going to work. Whatever they do, the president's a first female president, and she's a ditz, Meryl Streep, and she just is, the world's ending, and she's throwing a birthday party for her, secretary who's pregnant, But it looks like an asteroid just went through the planet Earth while this guy is on the moon, and it's just like, what are you going to do now? Where are you going to go? It's kind of like where we're at. TPUSA gained Israeli ties after Charlie Kirk's death. I guess this girl, Kim, said that it was hard to get something. They had to get a question, said, look, you're ignoring me. So they had to ask Grok again, is there a connection between Jewish being a foreign agent for Israel? And it turns out there is. Did you know that, RJ? Is that a big deal?
It might be suspicious, yeah.
Sounds like it, yeah. Continental Paper. I saw a Clean White World. I've got a few videos of how the CIA funded art. And this is, 10-year-old post on YouTube from a 1990s or something. We'll see. Chicago was one of the dirtiest places in the world when this was made. Avant-garde artists saved it, I guess. I am an American. Did you know that there was an I am an American Day? I am an American. I've attained the status of citizenship. It was one of those things.
Okay.
Third Sunday in May. So that's what we just had.
So yeah, a couple of weeks after Mother's Day, huh?
It's still in play. They don't do it anymore. Whereas some 2 million young men and women in the United States each year reach the age of 21 years, and whereas it is desirable that the sovereign citizens of our nation be prepared for the responsibilities and impressed with the significance of their status in our self-governing republic, therefore be it resolved that, coming of age, naturalization. You don't get that type of patriotism anymore.
Look out at the tops of trees and you'd see.
I don't know. Hey, Tommy, I want to remind people, Tommy has a channel right now, and I see he's out there doing good work. Good to see you, Tommy. Check this out. We're going to look at this before I show that thing you sent. These guys, there's a couple of people that they don't believe in the flat earth and Tartary. This guy, come on, they're going to laugh at us. We have to be thick-skinned enough to know that no matter what we say after all these years,
which was a coal chute for heating the house and stuff like that. And in many of these cases, there are good explanations just like that, because they weren't buried very long ago, 100 years ago, 150 years ago. We have actual documentary sources.
Covering buried buildings.
It did not look like a sinkhole. That looked like a construction hole or something. I don't know what it was.
And this is the reason why so many buildings have windows partly buried in the ground. If you notice with this one, the windows get smaller and smaller.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you see buildings with windows like this. Trust me, that's not a basement. Because if you keep digging, you will see the original front door. Oh my days. So anytime you come across buildings like this, you're dealing with mud flood.
Okay, so we'll get into some of these.
I like those colloquialisms of where that guy just said, all my days. I can just imagine people saying that, like, he ain't buying it. That's what he means. I like it. This guy looks like a movie star from that Close Encounters of the Third Kind, He does. He reminds me of an actor. He's not buying it. Look, he does. He's from the very beginning. He hates it.
The pier head. Now, if you look up close to it, this is some old school brick. This thing's got design elements on there that we haven't even considered. If you look at it, not for nothing, but isn't that the Tartarian symbol of Tartarian flag, right?
I don't think he picks very good people to show. It kind of.
Beyond. All of this is grafted onto a core trunk of esoteric fake Russian histories, which is where the concept of Tartaria itself comes from. As you can see, sort of with this map, this region that was sort of unknown in Central Asia was called Grand Tartary back in.
They tried to explain how it said, no, they're never going to get it. But, show the videos.
No. Maybe a horse and buggy. I'm not really sure. But
So it's Shelley. It's Shelley, the girl that doesn't even believe in short season anymore and is looking for,
a lot of the people, it just seems like they're just standing around, not really sure of what to do.
I mean, she's literally just making this up as she goes along. Like,
she heard me and some other people say it, so she got some hits.
Epigraphs of the same monument. Here you can see handled Dalu buckets with a globular shape and a button base in the black obelisk. These here are cylindrical and rounded Dalu buckets in the black obelisk.
Hey, there's something. Everybody's done shows on him, but this guy just falls for hook, line, and sinker on everything.
He had in the past was so advanced.
There's something to it. Tartarian giants. Okay. He doesn't want to believe it.
A flood building, and again, steps that lead up to the front door.
They show Mind Unveiled, the brick
I
people.
pointed this out before, but there's clear evidence of mud flood. All of the
That's not going to do it. Only the Bible, and it changes your heart, is going to do it. Look at this one. There's these people. You're not going to change their mind. These guys are super conspiracy people, except they draw the line. They got a line.
Flat Earth.
What are we
like-
doing out here? They've disproven themselves, I'll say, with globe. And that flat Earth, that plate of Earth, is surrounded by an impenetrable ice wall barrier that is, and this is keeps getting weirder, is protected by NASA. The greatly funded, overly funded and budgeted NASA. Sorry, my NASA friends. I love you. You need more funding for your scientific endeavors. But that's sorry. I'm painting this with my opinion all over the place. You could step out into your garden, okay, and disprove flat Earth. Flat Earth is so.
Do you know that, RJ?
Yeah, I heard. Yeah.
They're going to laugh.
Is
Well, that's why I prefer using the term stationary. But flat, yeah, it's a
It's
sea
pretty
level
darn
plane.
flat. It's
sea
pretty
level
darn
plane.
flat.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah.
they just destroy the Operation High Jump and everything.
phone number along with your existing contracts. Ditch overpriced wireless and get 3 months.
But everybody's got to make money.
Or Operation Fishbowl, or there's plenty of holes to hop into.
Do you think he looks strong? Do you think that guy looks like a kung fu expert or a weightlifter? They have new Olympics where people can take the steroids, RJ. Just imagine what a beast you would be if you would get on.
Yeah,
those.
enhancing it implies it would include steroids, but whatever else. I mean, adrenaline or who knows what they're
Okay.
on.
Is on the world on the
you gotta be
steroid
in there.
Olympics. Well, certain outlets are picking up on that vibe. For example, the Telegraph: athletes at steroid Olympics are walking billboards for big
He's got
pharma,
a
which starts to
syringe,
get us somewhere
RJ.
towards answering your question, Christian. So let's take a look. This article notes that those behind the so-called steroid
steroid
Olympics
Olympics.
claim the event will reward athletic
Adrenochrome or whatever. Yeah.
42. That's one of their numbers, like 33, because the secret to the universe, according to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Cosmic Realm or whatever, is 42. After the whole book, the secret, he goes, what is it? It's the number 42. I mean, it is a weird number when you look at the math, but it's not.
It ought to be a 666 or something.
Oh, he just cannot. It's just a bit too much.
20.88 this stroke for stroke. Proud, Colombic, Proud world record. 20-point record. No.
Okay, what does this have to do with the transhumanism part? Break us in. Oh, Peter Thiel is Donald Trump Jr. like it.
Donald Trump
Yeah,
Jr.
a nice transition.
US
Yeah.
president. Oh, thank you. Oh, that Donald Trump Jr. Thank you, Financial Times.
Like,
Encourages
how many Donald Trump Juniors are there?
athletes to use performance. Blah, blah,
Like
blah.
one.
The deal value is enhanced at $1.2 billion, including debt, and is expected to provide up to $200 million in cash. And then it goes on to talk about some of the other investors, as well as Thiel and Trump Jr. Enhanced is backed by investors including Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss and Saudi Prince Khalid bin
Saudi
bin
Prince
Talal
Khalid.
Ventures. Oh, right,
Khalid
that guy.
bin
Wasn't he the
Alawi.
one that was arrested in that Saudi purge in 2017? Do you remember the Saudi purge and all those billionaires being arrested in a hotel?
Well, looks like this guy landed on his feet. So, I mean, it's not what it must be what I think of it as in a purge. I don't know. I don't want to stick with this too long because I don't think anybody we know is for this. I know James is not.
Personally, I'm not interested in the enhanced games. I am not supporting it. If you would like more information about these games and about the Max Martin, who is
Only the Lord could time these videos because you know this is a new video with me, but I think that he did pretty good timing there. What do you know about birth certificates and how come that they're so new, RJ? And how come all the world, Algeria, Australia, well, everybody that's anybody, pretty much you get, there you go. Copy of the record birth. See there, it's Barack Obama.
Mhm.
Pretty suspicious. Because England started it in the 1800s, as far back as 1853, but the rest of the world of the United States jumped on it within about a year of 1902, 1903. Rights of a child, registered immediately, the right to acquire a nationality. You know, if they didn't do that, put your heels on the paper and rub them, give you some vaccines, you can't get a name, but some people tie it into somehow they're making money off of your name. The Racial Integrity Act of Virginia. These were the first ones. You know, we had the Jim Crow laws, we had the Reconstruction, we had the lynchings. It was not codified though until 1924 when it was like defined. No trace of any other blood. And of course, these guys that ran the government, you know, it has to talk to about it now is like, well, it's the outgrowth of that eugenist and scientific racist ideology that was widespread, means it was everywhere. Everywhere in the white world believed it. I think that's part of the reset, but you know, here's where you go. You're going to have it. Everything after 1913, hey, we're not going to solve this today. You know what I can solve, RJ? I think this girl's a liar. I don't believe her. She's talking about the color red.
In Revelation 6, it talks about chaos, death, and destruction represented by the color red. In Revelation 12, red represents Satan himself. And then in Revelation 17, it represents the beast, mystery Babylon, and martyrdom.
Huh.
So when Esau chose to be red, that choice had substantial ramifications.
Esau said, you know, it's like you lined up and said, when I'm born, I want red hair. I want
You
red
can choose
soup. I
your
want
genetic
red.
makeup.
I want red stew. You got to believe her, RJ, because listen to this.
Childhood development, belief systems, and societal influence. She's the author of The Roots of the Federal Reserve and Generation Hoodwinked, and also a third children's book that's just come out as well, isn't it, Laura?
Yes, we are so excited because I should say a little bit about my second book, because the last time we were together, I think I was just about to publish it. So Generation Hoodwinked is a follow-up to The Roots of the Federal Reserve, really. And it was birthed out of a dream and a vision. So
Wow, you want to hear about a dream and vision? I know you do.
I'm a follower of Jesus. I have a biblical worldview. And so when I was about ready to publish The Roots of the Federal Reserve, actually before I knew who my publisher was, I had a dream. And in that dream, this was May of 2020, in that dream, a publisher came to me and said, if you'll write a book about how AI has stolen the vocal cords of our children, I'll publish it. And then about 5 months later, I think it was, I had a vision. This is while I was awake. Jesus came to me and he took me by the hand and he walked me down this dirt path into an underground cave at the base of a mountain. We went into this large, dark cavern.
Okay, so in case anybody was wondering about the part that I don't believe her, I don't believe that Jesus came and took her by the hand and walked her down into a cave and told her about that. I don't believe that, RJ. Not
So
even a little bit.
As far as her storytelling, who gets credit for the graphics? There must be some sort of artwork.
I think that the young man who's obviously a pretty big fan, JC, John Cooper, he must be a young Christian.
And I couldn't see anything. It was like pitch
These
black.
women got a spell on people, man.
Until he released his breath and it billowed out like this blue light and it lit up the cavern enough that I could see that there were children.
This was a waking dream during the day.
In cages lining the walls of this cavern, and they were plugged into the walls. Well, Jesus turned to me and he said, take the key of David and go unlock the cages. Well, the key of David comes from Isaiah 22:22, which says, I will place on his shoulders the key to the house of David. What he opens, no one can shut, and what he shuts, no one can open. So I took this key and I just began unlocking.
She's like the Apostle Peter. She's got the keys. Here we go. Come, let us reason together, says the Lord. Though your sins are scattered like scarlet, they shall be white as snow. Red like crimson, they shall become like wool. If you are willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, no good for you. You shall be eaten by the sword. So, I don't know. There was a faithful city, has become a whore. We got that. So I did some looking into red. If it's so evil, why is the tabernacle in the wilderness covered with skins that are dyed red? I don't see that as something that where Jesus would say, I hate everything about the way Esau chose red, so I'm going to, that's the bad color for the rest of history. I don't see it. This is red. Dyed, make it red. So, pretty red. It's like that red soup too.
Yeah, there's all sorts of shades, of red tint.
See, that was
fire engine red.
Yeah, I'm looking at 119 now, but Now I'm not. Now I'm looking at 122. So this means, and your apparel is red. You're riding on a red horse. There's 9. This is 2 of them. It means red. Swallow some of that red stuff. Okay, well that's our story. That's the red soup, the red.
Red hot chili peppers.
Yeah, give me some of that red, and then the red heifer, which a red horse and a red heifer. That's really not fire engine red. That's not scarlet. The red heifer, but red is blood. So something.
Yeah. Not to be confused with the blue blood. Yeah, the red blood.
The blue blood from the crabs. But there, the Lord in majesty will be for us a place of broad rivers and streams where no galley with oars can go, nor no majestic ship can go over it. That's what I mean. Not no. But that sounds like, Vikings. They all of a sudden they had to watch out for people rowing up their rivers and sacking their temples. So I thought that was interesting. I got this too. This is not on YouTube. This is something else.
Age 8, he ran away from home to escape abuse from his alcoholic, widowed father. Theodore Roosevelt Sr., father of the future president, rescued the child, placing him on
Wow. The future president of the United States rescued this young man.
orphan train.
He put him on an orphan train.
These were charities that transported destitute children from cities to foster homes in rural areas. His adoptive father was an Indiana lawyer, soon to become a Republican state legislator. Brady graduated from Yale University and Union Theological Seminary. He relocated to Alaska in 1860. Grand Old Partisan celebrates more than 17 decades of Republican heroes and heroics. Today, I appreciate Republican advances toward world peace. May 26, 1972, President Richard Nixon met in Moscow with Soviet President Leonid Brezhnev. They signed the Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty. After more than 2 years of negotiations, the nations had agreed for the first time to limit their arsenal.
Nixon was president
Grand Old Partisan
for about another
celebrates
year.
more than 17 decades of Republican heroes and heroics. Today, I appreciate the Lacey Act of 1900, the first nationwide law for protecting wildlife, fish, and plants. It banned the conveyance across state lines of endangered species. A motivation for this law,
The birth certificates, blood sampling, Lacey Act, everything's new, RJ. Everything.
Then they did something the Irish had never seen before. They stayed. Around 841 AD, a Viking searched the houses, kicked over the floor mats, looked behind every wall. Nothing. They burned what they could carry and rode away. The villagers had not run. They were still there. About 15 feet underground, packed into a stone passage built specifically for that moment, listening to the boots above their heads. The Irish built more than 3,500 of these tunnels. We call them souterrains. Almost nobody talks about them anymore. This is the story of who built them, how they worked, and why an entire population.
Hey, RJ, how can we talk about them if we never even heard of them? 3,500. And this was because the Vikings were coming to kill them.
The raiders drew their swords and ran inland toward a farming settlement they had spotted from the water. By the time they reached the cluster of round houses, the village was empty. The cattle were still in the field.
But they learned.
You have to understand what Ireland looked like in the year 800. The island had no cities, no castles, and no central government. It was divided in.
So everything is after 800 AD in Ireland. All these castles, all their history. I think that it could have been, them hiding from Armageddon at the end, the Vikings. Paul was warned, Isaiah was warning, you can only be safe. You're going to have to watch your rivers. Things were going bad.
It became the city of Dublin. Within 20 years, long forts had appeared at Cork, Waterford, Limerick, and Wexford. The Vikings now had permanent bases inside Ireland from which they could.
And if I showed pictures of Dublin, it'd be a total star fort city. Let's see what else we got here. Creeping into, against. I was looking up sneezing. Not sure, I got as much, but having two words for sneeze seems, till and against, and then later on, the sneeze. He sneezed. That's the one-time thing, RJ. I thought there was more sneezing in it, but there was only when he brought the child back to life. And when was that other sneezing? Let's see what else we got. So I was looking for the ship with oars. That's where I got that Bible verse. A lot of people don't know this story, and I want to go over it with them, RJ. I hope you feel like doing some reading. It might be a little bit, but Rehoboam and Jeroboam. I couldn't believe that when I asked about it, it seemed like they were trying to go, oh, you can find all about him in the book of Jubilees. I don't see it right now, but we're going to have to look at it. So 2 Chronicles, here we go, 10 verse 16. And when all Israel saw that the king did not listen to them, the people answered the king, what portion have we in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. RJ, that's insanity. So, but that's what they did. That's what the 10 tribes did. They said, you just go look after your own house, David. And they went and found another mountain and said, this is God's mountain. We should refresh their memory. You want to start in verse 12, RJ?
Yeah, I can attempt this. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day. As the king said, come to me again the third day. And the king answered them harshly, and forsaking the counsel of the old men, King Rehoboam spoke to them according to the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, but I will add to it. My father disciplined you with whips, but I will discipline you with scorpions. So the king did not listen to the people, for it was a turn of affairs brought about by God, that the Lord might fulfill his word, which he spoke by Ahijah the Sinonite to Jeroboam the son of Nebat.
Keep going, a couple more.
And when all Israel saw I, Well, Israel saw that the king did not listen to them. The people answered the king, "What portion have we in David? We have no inheritance in the son of Jesse. Each of you to your tents, O Israel. Look now to your own house, David." So all Israel went to their tents. But Rehoboam reigned over the people of Israel, who lived in the cities of Judah. The king of Rehoboam sent Pedram, who was taskmaster over the forced labor, and the people of Israel stoned him to death with stones. And King Rehoboam quickly mounted his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel has been in rebellion against the house of David to this day.
That's the big division. You know, there was I wish I could be sure where it was, but is it Second Chronicles? When King David, the mighty men desert to him. Was that 36? The mighty men desert to him. The people of Israel were not that good, but it said that the men of Judah's voices were more fierce. So that's the way it went, you know. So that's not
Yeah, as far as the majority or masses being compelled, you know, if the Lord was behind it to prove what, yeah, and that's what it reveals.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know how, yeah, to going against the Lord's will in an evil way, you know, that it sounds evil and it doesn't turn out to be good by any means for those that are involved in that decision, but it was beyond, you know, their ability to
God is sometimes they are meaning evil, but God's meaning it for good. Let's look at 2 Kings 17:9.
Yeah.
So did secretly. I was surprised. It's a one-time usage here that doesn't give any type of real definition or, you know, hey, what's up with that? So I want to look at verse 9. And the people of Israel did secretly against the Lord their God things that were not right. They built for themselves high places in all their towns, from watchtower to fortified city. So it's talking about the star forts, but they did secretly. You don't get much on that one, RJ, so don't go looking, but you know, those secret societies, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, whether it's an obelisk or whatever, it isn't named as such, but
I don't want to miss a chance to show that, you know, I did look up the Gibborim. You know how girls like that prophet, you know, the prophet I showed you, she held hands with Jesus. You know how they love to talk about, they've got it all figured out. You know, it's for sure what it means. No, where was that one? So let's see where I got here, because this is straight up, you know, it's the Gibborim. So I got here from this verse, 2 Samuel. The Cherethites went out, and should we read it in a more common language here? And there went out after him Joab's men and the Cherethites, I would think, and the Pelethites, and all the Gibborim. And they went out to pursue, and this is a very exciting part of history, RJ. I think the people should get up to speed on it because here, not the Queen of Sheba. Sheba's the son of Bichri. He's a no good, dirty dog. But I like to talk about Joab, because Joab is a very confusing person. There's times like this with, King David, full of confidence, go get this Sheba, because it says, this guy could do us more harm than Absalom. Joab's brother Abishai, they pursued him. So why don't you pick it up from the middle of verse 15, RJ?
Then Joab and Abishai, his brother, pursued Sheba, the son of Berechiah, and one of Joab's young men took his stand by Amasa and said, whoever favors Joab and whoever is for David, let him follow Joab. And Amasa lay wallowing in his blood in the highway, and anyone who came by, seeing him, stopped. And when the man saw that all the people stopped, he carried Amasa out of the highway into the field and threw a garment over him. When he was taken out of the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue Sheba, the son of Berechiah. And Sheba passed
a couple more verses.
All the tribes of Israel to Abel of Beth Makkah, and all the Perizzites assembled and followed him in. And all the men who were with Joab came and besieged him in Abel of Beth Makkah. They cast up a mound against the city, and it stood against the rampart, and they were battering the wall to throw it down. Then a wise woman called from the city, Listen, tell Joab, come here that I may speak to you. And he came near her, and the woman said, Are you Joab? He answered, I am. Then she said to him, Listen to the words of your servant. And he answered, I'm listening. Then she said, They used to say in former times, Let them but ask counsel in Abel. And so they settled a matter. I am one of those who are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Where the heck? You seek to destroy a city that is a mother in Israel. Why will you swallow up the heritage of the Lord? Job answered, Far be it from me, far be it that I should swallow up or destroy. That is not true, but a man of the hill country of Ephraim called Sheba the son of Berechiah and has lifted up his hand against King David. Give up him alone, and I will withdraw from the city. And the woman said to Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown to you over the wall.
That's
then the woman went to all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Berechiah, and threw it out to Joab. So he blew the trumpet, and they disappeared from the city, every man to his home. And Joab returned to Jerusalem to the king.
Okay, that's quite a story. And it is, to me, just everybody just let it sink in. This is a very complex character. He was the head of the army through Absalom, and through this, anyway, the third time there was a rebellion was it Adonijah, Joab went with him. And it was like, wait a second, he killed Abner. Everything was crazy. So what I wanted to say is that one of the hard things I think for people is that there are miracles in the Bible. God acts, like when Elisha, had to be with Elijah to get the blessing, and and then it happened. But then there were times like when Elijah would say, well, if I'm a man of God, let fire come down and consume you and your 50. And it did. Those things don't happen nowadays, RJ. We have the word written on our heart. There are a few people like myself that have had real encounters with the Lord Jesus Christ, and you don't. It's not a high shake hands. I want to show you how to unlock the children that are plugged into the wall. It's a bright light that scares you to death. You know, it's and where we're at now is where we have a book that we need to trust. They had miracles. Those things happened then. It's going to seem like some new miracles are coming next month on the 12th, and before that when alien disclosure time happens. But this is a plan. They've rewritten the history so that they can get us exactly in this position. So while the rich are going to go underground, we're still wondering, and I'm still wondering, what can the average person do more to prepare? Do you have any advice, RJ? I mean, we know something's coming. Everybody feels like they're preparing, and they have to feel something like, I guess I'm good to go.
Well, yeah, looking at from the perspective of, how we arrive to where we're at, the dumbing down, allowing someone else to teach your children and grandchildren the nonsense that is everywhere. And then as the older generations tip over, and it's a progression of not progress by any means, but and then rewriting the history in the meantime and forgetting, significant events that actually, witness to something else other than the narrative. Getting people, everyone seeing the same thing at the same time. That will happen, at the White Throne when the books are open. But until then, this is a challenge as far as sharing the Word of God, what she revealed, to be taken seriously, but
powerful.
There's no, urgency for the most part of other,
for most
they
people.
don't see that. They're looking for their next meal and maybe some shelter.
And it's going to be like that. There is always going to be a wide road. I think what people have to, people like Zach Back, these guys really aren't afraid of very much, but a lot of people are, and they're afraid of being shut down. But we have to get over that, because when you tell somebody, you have a 90% chance their eyes aren't open, their ears aren't opened by the Lord, they're going to hear clicks and buzzes. They're not ready, if they're ever going to be ready, to hear the Word of God. But when they are, they have to hear it from somebody else.
Yeah, being an orphan, I can only imagine what that implies. But more often than not, it's a individual, versus families that are looking out for one another, particularly like the patriarchs of the families sometimes have, not always, but you have, where are you on, identifying where you are in God's timeline. It doesn't go on indefinitely, but we know every day we're that much closer to the end of the timeline, and whether
I know men and women, they get their first gray hair. They know A woman, all of a sudden, like I look down and there's a varicose vein, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're mortal. This is going to happen. And
Yeah,
the Bible
majority.
says that it's going to, it ends in judgment and with another rescue by fire where, they get burned up and we get, Lord willing, I believe it's like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, we get pain-free escorted to the great white. And I believe a lot of, we serve a God of love who rewards those who diligently seek him. It's what I know people are trying to do. There is going to be a narrow road that is like the sand of the sea that will fill it up.
There's a variety
let's
of
keep them motivated.
to seriousness. And you have every shade.
And how recent is everything?
Caught Schwitters about 1922.
Really overdone.
Sarah Tristan.
These-
Co-founded Dada in
These are the artists that they prop up still in school to this day in university, along with the artist Marina Abramovich and their nudism from 1958. Everything's brand new. When all this sudden they needed Frank Lloyd Wright, Bauhaus, we got to get rid of that classical. We need, plain box buildings because that's all they could build and draw. But
My Children at Play,
1948.
That's structure number 3 in
die durch die Presse bekannt wird. Die Liste der Beschuldigungen finden Sie von Mittwoch den
Jewish Germans, and we're still taught in schools, students, they are the geniuses. They're the ones we got to pay attention to. They did it right. Look at this art. Abstractionism, modernism.
with a photograph of himself. German Freedom 1920.
I mean, there it is. Hey, look. Is that Judeo-Christian?
Drawing.
We'll get back to some more of that. He loads the thick clouds with moisture on the face of the habitable world, whether for correction or for his land or for love, he causes it to happen. Wow. You get more impressed by Elihu, you know, the younger one, the more I read this. Yeah, I'm not going to stay too much with that. Elisha turned away. He boy sneezed 7 times. Now the other sneezes, it's like his eyes, when it sneezes, it flashes light. That's a horse, like the red of dawn. So there's another red. I don't know. What do you anything about sneezes? Why are 40% of the people in the world, when they look at the sun, they sneeze? Isn't that a weird thing?
Yeah, it sounds strange.
Are you a sun sneezer?
Not that I'm aware of.
You would know it. You would know it. I'm a sun sneezer. When I need to sneeze, I look at even a light bulb. Boom! I sneeze.
Yeah.
So the eyelids of the Lord in Job.
Yeah, I can sense when it's coming on, but yeah, I'm not certain what causing it. But I can get a sneezing jay going that'll last quite a while.
Yeah, some people get stuck sneezing it. 41:18. When it sneezes, it flashes lights. Its eyes are like the red of dawn.
I think I prefer the hiccups.
I see people get the hiccups for years.
As if you were no longer yourself.
So, in the rewrite of history, who has done this in DARPA, NASA in 1958 when they established it, they've looked back, and for the Renaissance, they have their heroes, and for your modern day artists, philosophers, Sartre, Jung, Jungian, how did that make you feel type bull crap, they prop it up. They say these people are good at art. Turn it up.
The German advance pushed the avant-garde to the edges of France and beyond. Mondrian and Léger left in 1939 for America. They were later joined by Duchamp, Ernst, and Chagall, forced out of the so-called unoccupied zone of southern France. Miro returned to Spain. Sonia Delaunay hid in the Alps. Matisse moved to Nice. Picasso and Kandinsky returned to Paris. Soutine died in hiding. Otto Freundlich was killed in Auschwitz.
They should know a lot about what the artists were doing. Why is it important?
The French had one pavilion designed by Le Corbusier and another decorated by the Delaunays. On the surface,
The answer is that they put those artists that survived, considered them fighters of the real Renaissance that kept their hopes and spirits alive while the Nazis were there. And they put idiots like Picasso, and it turned out, guess what? They're all sex fiends and freaks that embarrassed everybody. And anything you would go right hit, play?
French contribution seemed progressive and brave. It certainly contrasted strongly with the ponderous pavilions built by the Germans and the Russians, with their massive columns and heavy idealism, the preferred architecture of dictatorship. But the impression of French modernity was misleading. The leader of the Front Populaire, then in power, Léon Blum, was a personal friend of the Delaunays, but his government was toppled in the first month of the exhibition by forces of the right.
And this will get into what I think, the Lord brought me here and proved that art was used by the CIA, and it goes back to Peggy Guggenheim, and Guggenheim got their money from the 1893 stock market collapse when he sold out at the top of the market in Leadville, Colorado, allowing him to move to New York and become friends with the Rockefellers. And his horn dog daughter, and you look it up if you think I'm exaggerating, Peggy ended up funding all of the modern art.
To establish a sense of normality in occupied France, the Germans allowed cinemas, theaters, music halls, and galleries to reopen, as long as everything was submitted to the censors and no Jews or black entertainers were involved. For those prepared to rub shoulders with the occupiers, Paris under the jackboot glittered and giggled. The audiences for these wartime performances.
People were rushing to the Nazis saying, I'm an Aryan. Half of France was called Vichy France. They supported the Nazis.
An old man whose chief concern during the occupation seemed, as ever, to be the pursuit of a gorgeous aesthetic dream. But Matisse was not entirely a neutral onlooker. He was the only major artist to make radio broadcasts for the collaborationist Vichy regime. As the most popular artist in France, Matisse's broadcast on official...
The collaborationist Vichy regime was half the country supported the Nazis. And this artist made speeches on them, yet they're the heroes. I got a few of these.
Bouchard, 7, Lejeune.
This one just getting old quick. Dada and Surrealism.
Disque Platz und hat viel Geräusch gemacht. Die Splitter sind über die ganze Welt verstreut. Was machen die Museen heute? Sie suchen die Splitter zusammen und wollen sie in ihren Ausstellungen dem Publikum als Reliquien vorstellen.
Listen to this. They wanted these guys. There's quotes saying a war from these artists will cleanse the weak and leave people like he's reading one of their quotes from the famous Dada.
Then take out each of the scraps, one after the other, in the order in which they left the bag. Copy conscientiously. The poem will be like you. And here you are, a writer, infinitely original and endowed with a sensibility that is charming, though beyond the understanding of the vulgar.
1918. The painter Francis Picabia arrives in Zurich. He is rich, articulate, nihilistic.
To meet Picabia was like an
Nihilistic. It's why prop these up in 1978? 1978, when Henry Kissinger, Jimmy Carter, they're giving interviews in Playboys, the interviews of prominent politicians in pornography movies like the Penthouse magazine, where they just quantify it. The 70s were weird, and they propped these people up. They made us believe we went to the moon.
World War, historians of modernism prefer to play down or deliberately ignore the occultist beliefs of some of the early abstract painters. Kandinsky and Mondrian first among them.
It's just amazing that so many historians did not want to look at or explore cultism. And I think that had to do with the fact that they were very worried that because abstraction was so hard to understand, if you associated it with fringe groups like occultism, that would somehow denigrate the great experiments that painters had made in the early.
Hey, RJ, you got any, what do you think about that? Does Satanism degenerate art?
Yeah, influence and environment. Yeah, how that plays out. It's whether it's deliberate experiment or just how.
Yeah, let's don't underestimate Satan. Let's don't underestimate Satan.
Yeah,
this could be a plan from when he had 1,000 years in prison of how he could form and deceive nations. It's going to be a pretty good plan. That's going to look like it works until all of a sudden God says, I'm going to rescue these staggering fugitive remnant, Wow.
Years of the 20th century.
The secret of occultism remained in the cupboard because the art chroniclers were intent on ignoring it. What they wanted was not the mumbo-jumbo of the ancients, but a confident new art for the modern age. And they found it with Cubism, which broke...
You know what else they were confident? They were confident in that they wanted World War II because it would help. They were confident later in that if a child chooses to be a boy or a girl, that's their choice. They were confident that every house should be built with a sun deck so people could come over and pose nude on the roof. More than likely in front of their children, because all of them want to. These guys, like these Bernard Shaws and these other people, they're nudisms. That's where they started that.
07. Cubism was the shock of the new, all right. The everyday world of bodies, bottles, tables, and newspapers, redesigned with geometric outlines, hard edges, and machine-age regularity. Cubism seemed downright anti-religious. A clean break.
It was. RJ, I like my art. I do those masks. It could take up to 60 hours to make a mask, to cut the stones and to fit them on, make it a human face. To me, I like it. It's really kind of like art they used to do. This is bullshit. I can't stand it.
Sign of God's hand.
I don't want to sound too cynical, but ideas of the theosophical kind
Ideas which argued for the existence of a level of reality higher than the merely material came in extraordinarily handy to those pioneer abstract artists who were trying to convince the public at large, and probably chiefly themselves.
He said theosophic, that they were all into Blavatsky.
Yeah, when it comes to some, enticement, as subtle as it may be, or, that's all interpretation also, but you need to be very selective and careful what you wish for.
Right. If you could just say, man, if I could only be rich, I'd do anything for $1 million. You're the kind of person they're looking for.
The spiritual revelation will be.
Kandinsky was very committed to using art as a way of changing the world. He really believed.
Now, how does an artist get that type of an attitude where he can just be like, I'm out to change the world? This is the real world. Seconds of horror. It's a real human.
And so essentially, I've kind of outlined here from like a staff admin standpoint, for you guys to avoid legal liability of like students suing you guys because you guys didn't tell them about these new laws.
He was spotted by a doctor doing this inside a restaurant, and this happened.
The Mental Health Act, we're going to bring you to a hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
They're doing this inside a restaurant, and this happened.
The Mental Health Act, we're going to bring you to a hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
I won't attend. I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
So he's certified.
I've never been given a chance to attend an appointment.
Okay.
What is going on? I was never given a psych eval or nothing. He just looked at me and said, "You're certified."
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why, but it's up to the doctor. So if you.
But no, he didn't even give me an eval. He just looked at me and said, "I'm certified." Man.
I get that.
Please consider what you're doing, and please think about the fact
No,
that
they took him to jail, RJ.
Yeah.
They took him to jail and had a psychiatrist talk to him and let him go. That's our world today. That's Canada. What's going on with all the chemicals blowing up? One actually did blow up in Washington. Liquid paper.
According, there are multiple people confirmed to be deceased. There are others who are actually missing, and 10 people so far have been transported to the hospital for injuries. They're not saying how many people are deceased, but they're saying what caused this was a rupture of a tank containing white liquor. The company said in a statement, white liquor is a highly corrosive chemical used in the paper making process. The tank that ruptured holds about 300,000 liters, and it was roughly 60% full when the incident occurred. Again, is this just a coincidence that this happens only a few days after what took place in California? But let's also not forget that this is only taking place weeks after all these warehouses were going up in flames. But this
We're going to be the leader in technology, which we are. If we are going to be the leader in AI, which we presently are, it's just going to require trillions of dollars of investments. And if we don't invest in it, China will be the global leader in this. And so to me, it's not whether, this is a must. And if you think about how that translates, it translates into a more dynamic economy. We need the United States economy to grow at over 2%. We need the U.S. economy to grow at 3%, especially with the growing deficits the federal government has. And so much of this money, not just the private, is going to be coming from the private sector. Savings accounts, from pension accounts.
Sure.
Yeah, I would translate that as, the leader in deception.
And we're the people that are the targets of their deceiving. I mean, they got to be planning.
Whoever they can suck into their vortex of,
unless the monkeys learn how to use the internet. Oh, no.
provided, the price of your ticket has changed to $1,000 because she's a senior. So
They got caught charging seniors $200 more.
Found medication in the past. Now, but once you can, and since we can now construct synthetic RNA, you can effectively think of medicine, the future of medicine, as being digital. Like, so it's, if you just know what to program.
Wow, digital money and digital coins.
Los Lunas, New Mexico, takes 75 million gallons per year to cool down the data center. And this is what we're left with.
I think it was about 30 years ago, that song about dreaming in digital. I can't remember the artist, but it was popular there for a while.
Yeah, that's what, dreaming in digital and digital money. He's standing in the Rio Grande River. It usually goes dry in late July. Not this early.
There, which I thought was pretty cool.
Everybody's talking about this. Some people like it, some people don't.
But there are drawings everywhere.
I showed a couple videos earlier. They don't like the Tartaria thing.
This character here, which
other people do.
Really interesting. And then down here you have everything really close, which it's not like that anymore. And we'll go ahead and kind of go across here so you can see more of the craziness.
They're just faking the maps and everything, RJ.
Still,
Now holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. So where was Antipas slain? And when you look it up, it takes us here. And when you Google where Antipas was martyred, it brings you to Geneva, Switzerland. Says the traditional account goes on to say Antipas was martyred during the reign of Nero by burning in a brazen bull-shaped altar at the Apollyon Temple in Geneva, Switzerland. And that, of course, got me to wondering, what exactly is in Geneva? Let's take a look.
Okay.
The CERN Hadron Collider, for one, where they're trying to discover and replicate the Big Bang.
I don't believe that. I believe they're trying to smash molecules because they know God of creation bled and died. At one time he was stabbed with a spear. His bones weren't broken, but blood and water hit the ground. And they're looking for that element. And that way they can, they won't have to kill so many children for their adrenochrome. They can just make it. Everything is about Genesis 3:22, where they want to live forever. It's not going to happen. Geneva.
And of course, if I was the devil and wanted control over the world, I would be sure to bring all the world organizations to where I was, such as the United Nations. I might bring along the World Health Organization as well. And I would definitely want the World Trade Organization there. And I would definitely have Gavi there, the Global Alliance for Vaccines and Immunizations. And you can't finance an empire without having the World Economic Forum in Geneva, Switzerland. And of course, I would have all the other organizations there. 33 international organizations. 33. Isn't there significance to that number?
That's weird, RJ?
Yeah, you can't make that stuff up. Huh?
This guy did it. Charles Ledbetter. Co-Masonry, founded the liberal Catholic Church, which meant, anything goes. Raised in a Christian family, supported, I think he died early, used the family's savings, various clerical jobs, ended up working with Annie Besant and the Theosophical Society, became one of their main track writers, Blavatsky. It was a lot more popular than I thought, you know, around 1890 to 1920s. It was a big, big deal. You can't deny it. I also, Redondo Beach, there's something about it, because I don't believe Satan's throne anymore is in Geneva. I thus saith the Lord, I do believe it was outside Los Angeles in the Beverly Hills mountains there, close to Laurel Canyon, where all of the nonsense in the Hollywood started. Redondo Beach, it was just too much, you know, given to the Spanish, taken over. There was a salt lake there in 1906. But it just, the famous people, it was too much. Notable people, you know, I think I remember him. You know, I know the Smothers Brothers. That's a lot of people from one town, one high school. There's a wrestling girl. There's this bands. Cameron Crowe, the very famous person, author. A lot of people. Amazon Eve, look at that. Tallest model in the world. The girl who tried to kill the president. This is one town that is not even that big. Charlie Lindbergh, these high schools. Demi Moore, she married Bruce Willis, very famous. Then she married that Ashton Kutcher. I heard nothing good about him. It's in popular culture. The Beach Boys sing about it. Patti Smith sings about it. She's a complete Satanist. Hangs out with Mapplethorpe and Bruce Springsteen in the 70s. Britney Spears filmed a power plant there. This is in 1900, this is the hotel that people would go to in Redondo Beach.
Yeah, like a list that you just showed, it's probably difficult not to have been influenced in some sort of way by someone on that list. But
these kids don't have to worry about being put in a coal mine, I don't think, or, you know, like put in those factories where you know, like, I expect you to make 500 pair of underwear today, young man, or no tobacco for you. That's what they gave them, tobacco, to pacify the children back in the day. I've been reading some of their little diaries and things. They got tobacco, a lot, as much as they wanted, if they would stay awake. Because a lot of them, their jobs were like just, you know, count the people when they go in the door to the mine. They weren't all miners. Look at this high school, Aviation High School. There's no pictures of it, but it's been there for a while. It's not the old big one, so they did have some notable alumni. Nothing like the other one. You know, I don't even know these people, but I'm sure they're very talented. There's another one. This Union High School with the Falcons. It's funny, they don't show any pictures of that. But this is where most of the notable people went, I guess. So let's look that up, Union High School. Because it's a Starcourt, baby. That's not it. That's not it. You have to look for the old one. There's really only two pictures of old, and none of them are big. Neither of them are big. I showed that one. I downloaded it. I mean, this isn't the world of most people in California at that time. But surprisingly, there's this one, shows it much bigger, you know, a whole Star Fort complex, but they decided in the early 1900s to make it the home of the Falcons. So I don't know. Murray County, Tennessee. I was trying to look up, you know, there was this one guy I like to consider. He was like one of the bravest young men I ever met. As I was, you know, destined to jump out of a plane. I was 6 years old when I was going up with my dad, and he would jump out of the planes, and I couldn't wait till it was my turn. And I joined the 82nd Airborne, and they were going to teach me how to parachute for free. And I went up with this guy, the first jump, and I was sitting next to him, so we talked, you know, because it takes 40 minutes to get up high enough to jump, load up and everything else. So we're flying around and I'm talking to him and, you know, where are you from? And I was embarrassed to be from Mazan, a town of 800. But I go, where are you from? He goes, Possum Holler, Tennessee. You know, and it was like, wow, okay, never heard of it. You know, talked about it. Asked him, you know, it was like, when did you think about jumping? You know, this and that. And I said, you know, flying in these old military planes is sure weird with the door open. I've flown in jets and really small ones. And he goes, this is my first airplane ride. And he was going to jump out. And he had never been in a plane before. What makes people be people, RJ, that, you know?
Confidence.
Everybody's different. Yeah, I never saw him again because, you know, I was going to be a surveyor and we're pretty much separated from everybody else. But in this world, RJ, as we go forward, not underestimating Satan's plan and realizing that everything is really recent. What we have is a world where some people lived, and because of the May 1st, the Free Masonics, and that's when May Day and Labor Day, they've set management against employees, and we all just want the right to make money, and we could all get along if humans, not Gibborim or mythical lizard people, and we realized that the fault is with humans. The flood was because humans, man, Adam, you know, descendants were so wicked, their mind was always on evil, which is where it goes. God intervened, a God of miracles, who came to earth and could walk on water. We believe that it's written on our heart. That's where we're at, RJ. Everything else is obvious. It's flat earth. Golden Age is past. All those things are true. The orphan trains. You can't just write it off and say, I believe it all, if they didn't, so many of them believe in flat earth. So where are we at, RJ? Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, when it comes to who's capable of destroying the works of Satan? Yeah, God can do that.
I want people to go back to that time, Lord willing, and I you know, over 100 people will probably watch this video, and if one of them hears me say, at one time in your life, did you believe that Jesus Christ rose from the dead? And that his word was written on your heart. You confessed him with your mouth. You can do that again. The world is the one that's been lying to you, not the Bible. Anything you want to add, RJ?
Yeah, remain focused, whatever, you know, that there's so much going on other than, you know, the blue moon, that is going to happen, I guess, according to our calendar. But yeah, these are trying times.
And because we have been un-Hegelian dialectic and our eyes have been open, that doesn't mean your cousin has, or the lady that bags your groceries, but they may be. So persevere in knowing what you know. Stand firm. The truth will prevail. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. The mud flood was Armageddon. That's why we're never going to tell you anything else. We have your best interest at heart. We know we're called, chosen, faithful, predestined, adopted, to make it seem like it's our own idea to hit our knees and confess with our mouth Jesus is risen from the dead. Amen. Hallelujah. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. It's arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Adios. Nakame. Adios, amigos, from the border of southern Colorado and New Mexico. I'm beginning to love to